it's John speaking.
Okay, welcome to Blue Sky once again. My name is Olaomi. I'll be taking you through the Scrum ceremonies. Like I said, I'll be as fast as I can, but let's try and grab as much as we can so that we can enjoy this session. Okay, so this is the table of contents. This is what is going to be going on within this 1 hour. So I'm just going to, the thing is, our focus for today actually is the fifth one, which is what Scrum ceremonies are, and then of course the ceremonies itself. However, because you guys are, we're assuming everybody's a newbie. I know some of you already have a bit of, understanding here and here, but we're putting it on the playing ground that everybody's kind of a newbie. So we're just laying a bit of foundation of what Agile is, the frameworks, what Scrum is about, empirism in Scrum, just to help you guys. Honestly, there are a gazillion things I wanted to put on the slide too, but I just thought to hold myself and let's be focused on the Scrum ceremonies. But as much as I can, I'll guide you guys on one or two things, how it's going to go. Yeah. Thank you. So, what is Agile project management? So, the thing is, before I tell you what Agile project management is, in project management, yeah, there are like two major methodologies. We will not go into definitions or anything, but in project management as an umbrella, yeah, where you do projects, where you execute projects. Guys, also try and pick some of the buzzwords here and here too. So it helps you be in the mood, in the system. So where you execute projects, project management. So we have like two major methodologies that we use, which is the waterfall or the traditional method. We call it traditional, we call it waterfall, same, or the agile methodology. Yeah. So the waterfall has been existing since 19 but the agile, came into play like more like in early 90s thereabout. But the first, Scrum guide or anything, you know, came up around 2010, right? So let's just get that. So for Blue Sky, we focus on agile methodology, and the framework we use under agile methodology is the Scrum methodology. That's what we use in Blue Sky. Yeah. So project management is like an iterative approach of delivering projects through cycles. Now, I put this definition directly because it is from APM, that's Agile Project Management. Yeah. So it's from the APM body, and this is how they defined it, iterative approach. Actually, if I'm going to define it with the way things are, it's more like saying Agile should be an iterative, incremental delivery. Do you understand? So you must put the two together because the two is what actually makes up Agile. Agile did not just come on its own or Scrum or something, but Agile came on its own, landing on those two words, iterative, incremental. Yeah. So we'll put that to the side just for you to understand that it's just doing your project iteratively. Some people will ask what iterative is when we're saying iterative. So iterative is just saying like timeline, sprint. We are saying the time it takes you to deliver work frequently. So, and I remember Digis talking about it a couple of days ago that, sprints are usually within like 1 to 4 weeks and all that. So, but on average, most people they use 2 weeks. And in Blue Sky, I know he has asked you the question, so I won't go ahead asking you guys. And most people got it. We use 2 weeks. So that's what we're just trying to say. The iterative approach, doing things in bits. Yeah. So doing things in bits, like in packets from end to end. So you're doing it in bits to make it a whole. So if I want to say what now increment is now, which is the part I just explained, that you're delivering it in packets end to end functionalities in bits, but iterative is your time duration. Yeah. So that's what those words just mean. So don't get overwhelmed by them. I'm trying to go as easy as we can so that nobody's overwhelmed and you grab as much as you can. And I'll try and use as much layman language so that we can be at par with it. Yeah. So Agile helps team deliver value to their customers faster. And I'll tell you that with the picture by the side. Yeah. Then there's constant collaboration with the stakeholder and continuous improvement at every phase. Now, the thing is, um, when people are talking about Agile, most times they try to water down waterfall, like, oh, waterfall. No, waterfall is actually also good. Yeah. But people have realized with time that, Agile is more involving, is more collaborative. It gives you something that is visible as you are starting it. So I'm going to give you an example. with this that they said, constant collaboration with stakeholders in Agile, your stakeholders are in the process. You're communicating with them, they're giving you feedback, you're adapting to it, they're communicating with you, they're giving you feedback, you're adapting to you go back, do the work, show them like that. So they are in the process of getting that thing done from the scratch. But waterfall, you just go finish with them, plan very well. Okay, this is what we want to do. Yeah, go, bam, you go and do your work, then come back and tell the stakeholder, I'm done. No, come and see. Now stakeholder gets there and they are baffled that what is this? This is not what we said. Because sometimes, no matter how you imagine what somebody has explained to you, it might not actually be what they are imagining. So that's what usually causes discrepancies here and here. So, but Agile, the stakeholder is inside the whole journey, so they understand. That's by the way. Now, there's also something about when we say value in everything we get. So anytime we do anything agile, is because we are able to say, okay, this is the value. So the approach, it's like the goal you want to do, you're delivering it piece by piece to make up the whole. So that's your approach that you're using to do it. That's your way of doing it, is why people have, shifted base into agile. Everybody can, not everybody, most people kind of prefer it and specific to some kind of project. Yeah, but most projects can handle agile these days. Trust me when I say most projects. Before, people will say, oh, just a few projects can go with agile, but as time is going on, people are able to see it. So for this picture, I'll just try to tell you guys why we put the word value when it comes to agile. So in simple terms, anytime you start something in agile, say let's go to Scrum, and when you start a sprint in agile, right? At the end of that, at the beginning of that sprint, there is a lot of things you want to do, right? So everybody decide as a team. I will tell you what these things I'm saying is, they are all artifacts, but I don't want to throw that in so you're not confused. So a lot of things going on at the beginning. Oh, there are so many things you guys want to do as regards this particular project. Okay, what can we do within this short frame of 2 weeks? So all the things we take in as the short frame of 2 weeks, they become kind of our goal that we want to deliver. Yeah. So we start the sprint. So that goal at the end of that sprint, we should be able to have something valuable to give. So this is just what this picture is telling us about. So you can imagine what we actually want to do. This example, this picture is, I think they refer to it as famous car example. Yeah, something like that. It's just a car example. Yeah. So, but the example just shows us how agile framework delivers work from it, the difference from waterfall. So let's go. It might not be the best explanation, it might not be the best picture, but a lot of people have leaned on this picture because it has really helped show that delivery of what we need to do. So the goal of this picture now, the goal of this project for this picture is to deliver transport to this customer. So the transport we want to deliver to the customer is a car. But the main thing is the transport, yeah? It's the transport. Don't get lost by the car by saying it's car we really want to deliver. It's the transport that we want to deliver. This customer wants to be able to move from somewhere to another place. So in waterfall, the team doesn't really deliver anything, yeah, to the customer until that car is completely done. Before they'll say, yeah, customer. And this car might take them, 6 months to do it or something. Then when they are done with the 6 months, they'll now give the customer. But between that 6 months, you see that the customer has not utilized anything. The customer has not done anything with that car. The customer has not enjoyed the car. The customer is still jumping bus up and down or something. It's not easy for the customer to transport to where they are going to. Let's just put it that way, in a very lame way. Now, but in agile, so using iterative and incremental process, the customer receives the value along the way. So this thing, okay, let's go. This first picture is telling you is a skateboard. The customer we've already told the customer what we are trying to do is to build this thing here, this thing, let's just name it a car as it is. So we do sprint one. And in sprint one, we provide the customer with a skateboard. Now, you see that this skateboard is something of value to the customer, in the sense that with a skateboard, I'm sure most of us use skateboard when we're younger. You can still move from one place to the other. I can assure you, you're faster than the person that is walking. So it's even fun, it's lively and all. But it's not really what the customer wants. But the customer will just see the grumpy face. The customer will just use this grumpy face to say, okay, yeah, it's fine. It's something of value. Yeah, as long as we're going to get to this destination. So the customer takes the skateboard and start using it to get to where the person is going to. Then after a while, you get a scooter, second sprint, for the customer. And then you now give the customer the scooter. Now the customer is able to stand on it. You can imagine if the scooter is now even an electric one or something. Oh, customer will be like, okay, this one is moving me. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the customer is now neutral that okay, these people, I think they head into the direction. Then the next one, you now get a power bicycle too, like electric bicycle. And the customer is like, oh, okay, this one too is moving me. Yeah, thank you, thank you. By the fourth sprint, we're giving the person a power bike or something. The customer is able to speed well and all, but the customer might just take one extra passenger, which is still a bit hindrance. You can imagine if the customer is like me that has two kids and a husband. All of us cannot fit into this now, but at least for me as the customer is moving me, and then the last bit is now, the fifth sprint, you now give the customer a card. The customer is smiling because the customer went through this journey. Now, there are a lot of things that must have gone on this. If you notice, the sustained color is pinkish red and all that. So the customer himself can be the one choosing color self. They might have even made this a blue, and the customer will say, no, I don't like a blue. I think my wife prefers a pink car or something, anything. Or the customer might actually be a woman and say, oh, I want something pink. So if I'd done blue in sprint one, by sprint two, the scooter will come out pink, like that. I don't want us to overdwell on this, but I just want to paint that mental picture of saying, now we can imagine this upper part of the picture where we're trying to build a car. Now in sprint one, you gave the customer tire. Please, somebody tell me what the customer will do with tire. Remember when we're small that will be rolling tire? Is that what the customer wants to do? Bend down, break his back and be rolling tire? No. Then you give the person, okay, 2 tires and the base of the car. What does the customer want to do? It's not valuable to the customer. I don't know if you get it. Then now you now put the body on top of the tire and all that. It's still not valuable to the customer. Then at the end of the day, you now give the customer this. And the customer actually wanted maybe a convertible that does not have, maybe this person did not do a convertible at all. That's me assuming this is a convertible and can still close, but this is a stiff car. So at the end of the day, the customer is still okay and happy they can transport, don't get me wrong. But the customer was sad all the way because there's nothing valuable for the customer. So that's just one main difference between agile and waterfall. Something of value, sprint on sprint. Okay, so let's move faster from here. So agile, I know I've mentioned this and I hope people have gone to read about this. Really, I hope somebody has gone to read about this. So we're saying under the Scrum methodology, we have several frameworks. So some of the frameworks, Crystal, SAFe, a lot of organizations use both SAFe and Scrum. Yeah. So any organization where you're hearing them say PI planning, BRP, big room planning, they're just doing quarterly plan using SAFe and Scrum. Then we have extreme programming, we have Kanban. Those people that don't want to be doing ceremonies like Scrum, they go for Kanban, but it depends on the type of the project too, yeah. Then there's Lean. Lean is more for manufacturing guys, trying to remove waste and all. Please, can you mute yourself? Then we have FDDT. They are all frameworks. We'll not go into all of them today, or else we'll grow old. Yeah, but the one we use in Blue Sky is Scrum, which is our main focus. But I just felt the need to know that sometimes some organization they use 2 things or even 3. So some will say Scrum Ban. That's a combination of Scrum and Kanban. Some will say, SAFe and Scrum. Like in my organization, we even use SAFe, we use Scrum, we use Kanban. Conveniently, we use the 3. So some teams go for Kanban depending on the project they're working on. My team will use Scrum, and we also use SAFe. Everybody uses SAFe in the organization because we have to do a big room planning, same as PI planning. Okay, so what is Scrum? So Scrum is just, we've mentioned it earlier about Scrum being the framework we use here. So Scrum is basically a framework of rules, roles, events, and artifacts. The reason I like this definition is it encompasses, if you look at this definition, everything you're looking for within Scrum is actually within the definition. So we have rules, we have roles. I'm sure all of you, know your roles, the event is the same as the ceremonies we're looking to learn today. Yeah. So events are the ceremonies. We have the artifacts. Artifact is now what I explained to you guys without using the words, so you not be confused. So there are lots of artifacts in Scrum, but the 3 major ones that we just refer to, yeah, Now, every role has their own artifacts to an extent, but in general, within Scrum, you must have your product backlog, your sprint backlog, and your increment. Yeah. So that product backlog, I like defining it in the very simplest way that people can understand it. Everything you think you want to do about that project can sit in that product backlog. Everything you think you want to do. It doesn't mean you're going to do everything. So I want to do a website. So I get stories there that has to do with the header, the landing page, the footer, the payment session, everything I want to do. I just put the stories there. However, for the sprint, what do we want to start with? Okay, let's even start with the landing page. Let the customer even see that his website exists, and let's put a logo too. Let's say that's what we want to do for sprint one. So the only thing we'll pick into the sprint will be the landing page and the logo, and that becomes our sprint backlog. And that becomes our sprint goal, because the result of that backlog is a goal, right? So that becomes the goal for the sprint. And then the third artifact, which is the increment, is now that thing of value that we have done. So that valuable thing is the increment. So please note this down. The three main artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog, and increment. Yeah. So that increment is what we have said is that thing that we deliver in packets of end-to-end functionalities. So everything we're doing, so that increment now will be something of value. So we do them, yeah, and it must be valuable at the end of the day. Yeah. So that's that. Then it emphasizes teamwork, accountability, and iterative progress towards a well-defined goal. So the iterative, anytime you see iteration, anytime you see sprint, we're just talking about duration. We're just talking about timeline. So they are saying it emphasizes teamwork. The team, we are accountable to each other. We do this thing iteratively. That's we do it bit by bit in progress. Yeah, we do it within this time frame. So 2 week sprint, 2 week sprint, 2 week sprint in a well-defined goal. Yeah. Then iterative approaches consisting of sprints that typically only last 1 to 4 weeks. I've mentioned this earlier, with the objective of continuously improving a product. Yeah. So the objective is to keep improving the product. So we wanted to do the car. We started with the scooter. We improved it. Definitely, we started with the skateboard rather. So a scooter is definitely better than a skateboard. A bicycle is definitely better. A power bike is definitely better than the next. And then, of course, the main thing we're going for, which was the car, is actually the best bet. Yeah. So that's that. Then, so need I say that I must mention Scrum Guide before we move? So Scrum was developed in the early 90s, and the first version was published in 2010. Now, the people that did this Scrum Guide, they are just a group of developers. Precisely about 17 of them, they sat down and said, okay, um, let's do the things that let's find a guide that will guide us through. Please, can you mute yourself, please? Let's find something that can guide us while we are, working together iteratively. So they came up with the Scrum Guide and all. Then 2 major ones focused on the Scrum Guide. They came up with all the agile values, rather the agile values, the agile principles and all that. Then 2 major ones out of them, I think Jeff and Sutherland or something, they came up with, the guide with contributions of others too. Anyways, then the latest one, okay, yeah. So this is Ken and Jeff Sutherland. The latest one was published in 2020. So everyone, please note this down too. Please go to Google, not right now, not right now. Go to Google, type Scrum Guide. This is the title, Scrum Guide 2020. It's going to give you a free read. It's something everyone here, please don't say because you're not a Scrum Master or something, everyone here should read the Scrum Guide so you have an idea of what is going on. Yeah. So read the Scrum Guide. It's a simple read. It's about 16 pages, but they are boldly written. So it's not like the 16 pages is so compressed. 16 pages is something you can read within. In fact, when you look at it, I think they'll tell you it's a 45 minutes read or something. So it's not something too cumbersome. Everybody, please try and note it down and read the Scrum Guide. I'll be asking you guys if you have read the Scrum Guide in the future. So now, last bit before we go into the ceremony is the 3 pillars of Scrum. It's always good to mention the empiricism. Now, what we're just saying is you have to put this in your mind or anywhere you want to put it, yeah, because most times they ask simple questions like this that throws you off in an interview, or you remember only one and then you don't remember the rest. Sometimes you think that, oh, I've heard this over and over again and it's going to stick, but you'll be very surprised that you just forget in the interview. I can tell you, guys, people forget this in the interview. So I'm not saying they always ask it in the interview, but there are some things you should just have at the tip of your finger when you're asked questions like this. Or sometimes when you're asked questions in the interview, you can use this to explain what you want to explain. Yeah. So that's why empiricism is very key to Scrum. So the three pillars of Scrum is transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So the one thing I used to tell people is one of the reasons I like Scrum very well is the word. Just look at the English word of the word is enough to guide you to the meaning of what it means. When we say transparency, what are we trying to say? We are transparent to each other. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. There's no hidden secret. There's no set of people backbiting over the other. Everybody knows the work everybody is doing. So it's just barely visibility. That's what transparency is. So just have it at the back of, oh, transparency. Okay. One of the Scrum pillars is transparency. So the reason, okay, so let me just give you the definition here. Like, is giving visibility to significant aspect of the process to those responsible for the outcome. So basically, we're responsible for the job we're doing as a team. Yeah, that's for the Scrum team, which is the PO, the Scrum Masters, and the developers. Now, please don't say because you did not hear BA, DA. No, 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 no. Most times, you guys end up being part of the development team, rather, but we don't use the word development team anymore. So we just call it developers. Yeah. So there are some of you that you don't work in the team. So to be very fair, a BA will work in the team, but a DA might or might not work in the team. It depends. And an APM will never work in the team, but they can work with the team from outside. Yeah, but you cannot work within the team. So I'm just putting that for clarity's sake, because some people say, oh, they are lost. That, oh, why didn't you mention APM? So that's why I'm just mentioning that. So, and one of the key things that we use for transparency is the tools that we use. And when I mean tools that we use, we're talking of Jira board. Don't worry, in the next 1 week or so, everybody will be in there already. You see, also project management tools that are very common are the Jira board and the Azure DevOps board. Yeah. So the Azure DevOps board is what we'll be using in Blue Sky. So it just shows if, for example, I am not a team member or anything, and I want to see what that team is doing. Say I'm just a stakeholder, yeah. I want to see what that team. I can just jump on your board and see. I don't even need to ask questions. I can see it from your metrics. I can see it from your board itself. I can see it from your tasks that you've raised. Clarity as to what you're doing. So that's what all this is about. Then inspection. Inspection is timely checks of progress towards a sprint goal to detect undesirable variances. So you have planned something and you guys are going gradually. So you need to inspect yourself to be sure that you're on the right track. I like to use the example of Google Map. You check from time to time to be sure that you are following the right, is the same thing. Yeah. So for inspection here, the ceremony we use for that is usually like a daily stand-up. We check ourselves to make sure we're on the right path day to day. Oh, okay, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? Is there any impediment? Okay, what's the latest development on this and all that? You ask all those questions within your daily stand-up. Then another time we review ourselves is also during the sprint review. This time around, you're getting feedback from stakeholders and all. So that's the part of inspection. Most of these things are interwoven. Just think of the word and you'll be able to think of why they are saying this is inspection. It's very easy. We've done everything together within the team and all that. So we now say, oh, we have a stand-up to do daily checks, 15 minutes every day of what we're going to do, yada, yada, yada. That's why we do inspection. Now, adaptation is like adapting to something, feedback on something. So in that sprint review, somebody gave you a feedback. You just go back and adapt to it. Yeah. So it's just adjusting to the process as soon as possible. And that's one of the key things about Agile. In Agile, you have to adapt to, there's room for change, quick change. Yeah. We fail fast. In fact, we don't like using fail fast anymore in my team. There's someone to say they say we fail forward or something as ridiculous as that, but it's called we fail fast, yeah, and we quickly pick ourselves up. So, for example, we go for a sprint review and the stakeholders give us feedback that okay, we don't want this, we don't want that. Or the example I gave earlier that the scooter was painted red and the person says no, I don't want red, I want pink. So you can imagine if it was waterfall, that person would have done a red building, everything, and then the customer sees it and say, what is this? But in Agile, from the skateboard time, I've produced something of value. The person has corrected me even from sprint one. So from sprint two, I've started using the pink the person wants. In fact, in sprint two, if the person says, I don't want pastel pink, that I want fuchsia pink, you change it to fuchsia. By sprint three, you're already where the person wants you to be, and then you go ahead. So that's one of the flexibility. You easily adapt to changes and all. That's what adaptation is all about. And one of the meetings we use for adaptation is our retrospective. That's why I say think of the English word. When you say somebody's retrospecting on something, you're thinking that, okay, what did I do well as regards this thing I just finished? What didn't we do well as regards these things I just finished? Okay, how can we move forward? How can we be better? That's our retrospective. Now I've given you guys a baseline of what our ceremonies are, but now I'm now jumping into the ceremonies as fast as we can so that we can meet up with time. And I hope till this moment we understand as much as we possible. Yeah. Okay. So what is Scrum ceremonies? So they are just meetings. So a lot of people put their mind on Scrum ceremonies are just meetings, right? We're just doing meetings, and Scrum ceremonies, some people call it events and all that. They're just meetings specifically organized to ensure that the Scrum team, they are in sync. Yeah, they are in sync to executing the development of a product. That's what Scrum ceremonies are about. So when we talk of Scrum, we're talking of that Scrum ceremonies. We're talking of structure, collaboration, communication, result driven. Those are the kind of things that happen in that ceremony. That's what that ceremony helps us get. You understand? We're collaborating as a team. So that's why they are using the word, the Scrum team are in sync. You are in sync with executing the development of a product. So the reason why you can imagine if we want to execute a product or a project, this product can be interchanged with project, it can even be interchanged with a program, but we will not do a program within a Scrum team. Most likely that one is going to be on a domain level. Yeah. But within the team, we're going to be doing just products, projects like that. So we're just saying we're doing these meetings so that when they say go and do a project and we didn't do any meeting to even talk about it, to even refine the project before we start planning properly, before we start doing our stand-ups, everything. We didn't even do all that. How do we want to be in sync? How do we want to understand each other? Yeah. So that's why we're doing all these meetings. Now, it also helps the team get work done in a structured manner. So you can imagine we have planned, we say, okay, in sprint one, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do it. Now, when we say structure or anything, we're just saying that it's giving you like a systematic way of doing things. You're arranging yourself and all that. So it helps the team get work done in a structured manner and help to set expectations and empowers the team to collaborate effectively and ultimately drive results. Yeah, that's what Scrum ceremonies are about. So Scrum ceremonies, they are done within the context of a sprint, which is what I've mentioned earlier. You can interchange the word sprint with iteration. So we're just saying these ceremonies are done within 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, all your ceremonies in Scrum should have happened. So all you need to do is put them at the right time. You can imagine doing your sprint review on the first day of sprint. It can never be balanced. What are you reviewing? Have you done anything? No. At the beginning, what do you think you should be doing? You should be refining, you should be planning. That's what you should be doing at the beginning. Then during the whole course of the whole sprint, you should be having your stand-up, which is your daily checks to know where everybody is. Then at the end, you now go and meet the stakeholders. Oh, yeah, stakeholders will come and see what we have done. They'll give you feedback. Then you now go back with your retrospective, you adapt to those things. Then by the time you're starting the new sprint, all the changes they've told you guys to do, you just start adapting to the changes immediately. I'm trying to give you guys simple without getting even to the page of what the ceremonies are about. I hope we are getting it gradually. Thank you. So what is the purpose of Scrum ceremonies? I'm just trying to say the importance of Scrum ceremonies. So some of the importance is that it empowers the team to collaborate effectively, which is what I've mentioned earlier. It helps them set measures of expectation. It provides the team with framework to carry out assigned tasks in a structured manner. I've mentioned all this, that's why I'm moving very fast here. Then it steers the team towards achieving successful results. I keep telling people, if you like, move from here to Jalingo and you do not get results, nobody sends you. But if I'm within my house and I'm giving you results, people applaud you for giving results. So no matter what you do, just ensure that you try and get results. That's what you should be working towards as a team. And everything you do, make sure you pursue results. No effort. We did this. We now went. Just give us results as much as you can. There are sometimes that it might be difficult to get those results. But if it's difficult to get those results, you should know that okay, it must really have been very tough to get those results. And probably by the start of the next sprint, you should have started yielding something. Yeah. So that's that. So the ceremonies in itself. So in Scrum, we have 4 main ceremonies. Yeah. It's just worthy of note to mention it that way, that we have 4 main ceremonies. However, there's a 5th one that is that is considered as very important. So, which is the refinement. This one in the middle is actually not part of the Scrum ceremonies, but it's considered as a very, very important part of Scrum. So I will be leaning on today saying we have 5 ceremonies so that we'll just understand it, and I'll explain them as quickly as we can. Yeah. Okay. Then let's start. The first one is sprint planning. The second one is daily stand-up. The third one is sprint refinement. Fourth is review. And the last is retrospective. Look at the English word is enough to explain what they're talking about. So retrospective is what I explained earlier by saying we come back and retrospect on all what they've told us. Okay, they've given us feedback. Let's think about it and all that. Review in its sense is that, oh, okay, come, let's review the work you have done. Yeah, come, let's come and review the work you have done. And who can call you to come? Let's come and review the work you have done. The stakeholders. They are the ones that can tell you, yeah, come. Then we have the refinement. So refinement is like, you can imagine how gold is. When you bring out raw gold and all that, how does it look like? It looks very ugly, yeah? Or even diamond, they look ugly. But when you refine them, make them look beautiful, then you can say, oh, that's it. In fact, that's when you can point to say, oh, that's a diamond. Now it looks beautiful. Now it looks usable. Now it looks like something we can work with. Yeah. So that's what refinement is about, which is the on orthodox Scrum ceremony, like we can say. Then we have the daily stand-up. This is the one I said we used to inspect ourselves every day, right? And then we have the sprint planning. There's something I always say that if you fail to plan, you definitely plan to fail. Yeah. So planning is very important. Now, planning is not like our lifeline. There's a lot of planning that goes on in Agile, but you can't compare it to the planning of Waterfall, because the planning of Waterfall, they will plan everything they want to do from start to finish and then go and execute. But, with Agile, we plan as much as we can. Probably, we can plan a quarter and start executing. We can even plan the whole thing a bit. Then we'll now pick it quarter by quarter that, okay, this quarter, this is what we want to face. Then when we now have that thing in quarter, we now plan it in sprints every 2 weeks. This is what we want to do and all that, So you now plan yourself and try and execute it. Yeah. So back to the sprint planning. Yeah. This for sprint planning, the participants, I told you guys the composition of a Scrum team. So a Scrum team, we have just 3 participants in a Scrum team. Yeah. 3 roles, which is the PO. PO is product owner. We have the Scrum Masters and we have the developers. Now, developers includes the testers, the front-end developer, back-end developer, UX, UI designer, even sometimes a business analyst, like that. So everybody within that space, they are actually the ones making this project happen. So they are developing the project. So that's why they are developers. The Scrum Master is standalone because the Scrum Master is only guiding you and making sure you're not encumbered and you're able to deliver this. Yeah. And the PO is getting the vision and telling you, the developers, and of course as a team, that this is what the vision for this particular project is. So that's why PO is standalone, the Scrum Master is standalone, but the developers, they are making sure this works. So a developer develops something, that's a developer proper, develops something. A QA test it, that's a software tester, they test what it's about and all, and I've been sure that thing that the developer actually developed must have been probably created by the BA to say, okay, this is what you want to do, this is the story, this is the wireframe, it should look like this is that, this is the process map. Then the developer goes and develops it, the tester tests the stuff. Now it depends on those that within your team. We have different types of developers, front-end developer, back-end developer, different ones, anything, full stack. There's something they call full stack. That's for full stack developers, there are people that are both front-end and back-end developers and all that. Don't worry, as time goes, you'll be getting used to these words and you get to understand them. But in general, I just felt to make us understand what the roles are. So for to make it easy for you to put all this, for every event, the Scrum team are always invited for every event. So if you look through my chat, the Scrum team are invited. They are the only participants actually of this. But once in a while, sometimes all the stakeholders might just want to come and see how progress is going. They can just chip in, but they'll be quiet. They cannot interfere. They have to be quiet. They cannot interfere to what we're doing. Yeah. Now, the only event that a third party is definitely necessary, because they're the ones that you're reviewing to, they're the ones you are telling this and this is what happened, is the sprint review. So you have to work with the stakeholders for sprint review for you to be able to tell them and show them as a team what you guys have developed and all that, and then they'll give you feedback. They'll give you feedbacks. Now for sprint planning, we have, for every 2-week sprint, the allotted time is 4 hours of planning. But sincerely, most times, if you have done this right, which is a refinement, you don't need 4 hours of planning. Now, let me say this before I go into explaining this a bit here and here. So now, ideally, the first event of a Scrum team is actually the sprint planning. But after that first time, by the second time, you have to actually refine before you plan again. So it can be very dicey, and just permit me to leave sprint refinement as the first thing. So we've all said this is what we want to do. I explained that. We've said, okay, these are the things we want to do on this project. So now let's refine and pick the ones that are good, that not good, the ones that we are ready to do, but that is as against priority from what the PO is telling us. PO is telling us this is what they want people to do this sprint. So that's the PO's job. These are the things, this is the focus for the sprint. Then the team will now agree on, okay, yeah, we're able to do this. We have the technical skills to do this. We're able to do this. You know what? Let's start with this, this, and this. For the space of 2 weeks, I think this is what we can do. This is what we can do. All of you will agree as a team. You refine all your stories, make sure your processes are in place, everything. That's what you do during refinement. Then you now come to sprint planning. And in sprint planning now, you're now in refinement. A lot of things still goes on, and we'll show you some today. Actually, I don't know why I'm a bit rushing because of time, but for sprint refinement, there's a lot that goes on in sprint refinement, and some of the things that goes on in sprint refinement, you can do a rough estimation, because ideally you come to sprint planning to estimate, you come to sprint planning to do the major planning as regards how you want to execute those things. Everybody within the team understands what you're doing. You read out your stories, you look through it. Yes, we're good to go. Okay, let's commit this to sprint. You agree on your sprint goal. You agree on this. We do all that within the sprint planning. But refinement, before this, refinement is like your selection process. Okay, this is kind of the things we want to take into this sprint planning. Okay, you know what? Let's do rough estimation so that we'll know we have the capacity to do this. So at this point, we're just doing, okay, quick estimation, okay, quick capacity, okay, yeah. It's not like Moji is going on holiday or Bolu is going on a holiday. No, even if Moji is going on holiday, we'll take up the work that will not hurt us because Moji is away. Yeah, so we'll remove Moji from our capacity, not remove anyways, but we'll reduce her timing for capacity and all that, and most times within a sprint, it might be that Moji just went for 5 days, so she still has 5 days to come back and start working. So what Moji will be taking is maybe 50% of an ideal 100% of what she's supposed to do within the sprint. So all those considerations are done within this period so that we are sure we're taking the right things into sprint. So in planning, you're repeating some of these processes. So you're going to re-estimate properly. The reason for doing this is if there's any amendment or anything, from the sprint planning, we'll now come here and do that. Yeah. So in the sprint planning, you are estimating, you are prioritizing different things. Yeah. They're just making this look very pleasant for you to go into sprint. So when you guys decide to go into sprint, you move all your things in the product backlog and move it into your sprint backlog. Then you commence sprint. So when you commence sprint, a day after you commence sprint, you now start your daily stand-up. It's not, most times they just say you do daily stand-up every day of the sprint. On the day you are ending sprint and starting sprint, you really do not do daily stand-up. But every other day, not every other day, every day you do the daily stand-up. But on the day you're starting and the day you're ending sprint, you don't do daily stand-up because there are major events on that day. So we're going for sprint review. What are we doing stand-up for? Except you guys just want to call a special meeting for that day, yeah, that okay, let's quickly just check one or two things, but usually you will not do your stand-up on those days. So this is me telling you, on Sundays when you're doing your demo, you don't need to do a stand-up because you're doing a demo, yeah. So that's that. So then we do the daily stand-up. In the daily stand-up, the best bet is now for us to start moving. I just want us to have a clear picture of this before we move on. So it's fine, let's start moving. We have just a few minutes to the end. Now, I like to always put this part of the slide that all ceremonies, it must be time boxed. Everything you're doing. If you remember, I showed you guys here, let me step back a bit, that for sprint planning, we do it 4 hours within a 2-week sprint. For daily stand-up, it is done 15 minutes every day. For the sprint refinement, you do it 2 hours within a 2-week sprint. That means that if your team does a 4-week sprint, you're going to use 4 hours for this. So every 2-week sprint, we use 2 hours for refinement. It makes your sprint planning go smoothly. For sprint review, 2 hours within every 2-week sprint also. And for your retrospective, 1.5 hours within every 2-week sprint is when we do retrospective. So all ceremonies must be time boxed properly. So if you say you are doing daily stand-up, daily stand-up should be 15 minutes. Your 15 minutes should be your 15 minutes. If there are things that you want to do, just go and do them in the parking lot. Yeah, I'll explain what parking lot is as we're going. Then all the ceremonies must be purpose driven. You must have a reason, you can't just go into a meeting and not plan for it. Yeah. So it must be driven by something like, okay, we have our stories. Okay, you plan yourself. And this goes to the Scrum Masters the most. Familiarity always comes in. Oh, I do this every day, so I don't need to prepare myself. This is just telling you to be prepared. Yeah. Always be prepared for every meeting. Don't let familiarity set in. Have your team acceptance. Don't do things in silos. Do things as a team. Always remember, you don't make decisions for your team. You make decisions as a team. It's very important. Very important. Because in Scrum, we're all equal. Nobody is above anybody. Yeah. Nobody is managing you. We believe and trust in you that you're able to execute your own personal, deliverables on your own. Yeah. But of course, you're working as a team. The team understands what you're working on. There's clarity as to what you're doing. But we understand that, we trust you. That's why we employed you to come do this. Yeah. So everything you do must be accepted by the team. Then you must prepare very well for this. Don't be too familiar that, always prepare. And then lastly, you must have something tangible, something valuable to bring out of the sprint every time. Yeah. So sprint planning. Now that we have like a little balance of what it's about, we'll go as quickly as we can for the rest of the slides. So for sprint planning, like I said, is the first event of the sprint and is the event in the Scrum framework where the team determines the product backlog. I've explained all this. So I'm just going to go. So we determine the product backlog items that we'll be working with during the course of the sprint. Yeah. So it's like you're discussing your plan. Okay, now these are the things you want to take into sprint. Now, the importance of sprint planning. The importance is it reduces risks of failure. Like I said, if you fail to plan, you're already planning to fail. Yeah. So it helps us understand the scope of work we want to deliver, right, during the course of the sprint. Now, for daily stand-up, so daily stand-up is like a brief daily meeting designed to let the team plan out the work for the day. So some people, even the truth is sometimes you can imagine, we all know where everybody is every day. Sometimes it can be tiring. So you have to find a way to make sure there's a reason why your team members are logging in every day. This is me just tipping you off Scrum Masters. Sometimes it can be very tiring. Yeah, we already said what we're doing yesterday. We have an idea what it is. But what you're doing today is actually different. So find a way to keep your team motivated to want to always be ready to do these things. Yeah. So quick exchange of vital information. Quick exchange of vital information. Anything that you're going to be discussing too much, right? It's going to take too much time. Just go and put them in the parking lot. So I said it's a 15-minute meeting. Imagine a team of 10, yeah, and you are the scrum master. The remaining 9 has to respond to this question of, oh, what's up? What have you done? Okay, what? Don't bore them by always saying, what did you do yesterday? What did you do today? Any impediment, they get tired. Yeah, just go. Those are the main focus of the day. Make sure you have coached your team enough to understand that that's what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, but at the same time, for someone like me, I've done this over and over again, so I will not be saying, well, what did you do yesterday? What do you know? I just say any quick updates. They know what I mean because they understand. Okay, oh, yesterday I was able to wrap up with the da 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 da, and I was able to do this. That thing, saying it loud in front of the remaining 9 of us keeps that person accountable and keeps that person in check. Yeah, you're telling your team this is what I want to do today. So definitely by tomorrow, we are expecting you to tell us that this one that you said you wanted to do, talk about it. So even if you end up not doing it, you tell us the reason why you did not do it. So you see, this daily stand-up is very, very, very important. Now, when somebody is now explaining something, maybe a PO is also on the call and is asking the developer something, or the developer says something and says, oh, sorry, can I ask something? And they're talking, and that conversation is already spanning more than a minute. There's a way you have to be very nice, package yourself, and find a way to shush them. I'm just using the word shush. That's not the appropriate word. But find a way to just tell them, you know what? Okay, on this conversation, make sure you mention the conversation. That's why you should be following. Oh, on this MATLAB issue, or on this, how about we speak about it after this call? So you and you, so person, or any interested person within the team, to can wait behind after the call, and then you talk about it. So you can just schedule a separate parking lot, or everybody dismisses, and the remaining 2 or 3 people that want to talk about that, they can keep talking about it. So that happens after the meeting, but always be sure that you are clear that, oh, the stand up ends now. So those of you that want to do parking lots, keep talking. Yeah. So make sure your timing is very, for my team, I use the word Elmo. Elmo is enough, let's move on. And I've told them every time over and over that, okay, when I say Elmo, you don't need to be offended or anything. I'm not saying your conversation is not interesting, because sometimes you can imagine somebody talking and say, Elmo, Elmo, please. It'll be like saying you're shutting the person up. But there's a time you get to that relationship with your team that they know that it's not like the conversation is not interesting, but really, we really got to move on. Yeah. So I tell my team, Elmo, and they even smile at, oh yeah, okay, no worries, we'll talk about it later. They'll be the ones to tell you that, oh, we'll talk about it later, because they now know the process. You have to be open with your team, let them know things. Then anytime you're doing all these things, you still have to be diplomatic. People are still people. You can't offend people unnecessarily whilst you're working, or else you have a demotivated team. There'll be ruckus within your team. There's no need putting yourself in that position. Yeah. Okay, so another thing for stand up is that they identify obstacles. So remember what I said, the 3 main questions. Okay, let's just come to this picture on the on the screen. That's the main focus, is what they did yesterday, what they want to do today, and if there are any impediments. So obstacles, impediments are the same thing. Yeah. So if there's any blocker or anything, that's when they should say, oh, I wasn't able to log into so portal because so thing and all that. They had a downtime yesterday. Okay, and all. Then you say, you note it. Always have something to note. This is now to the Scrum Masters. Note it, and then you can find a way to help the person out. If there are technical things that you cannot do, you find a person to help the person out. Yours is just to make sure that impediment is gone. You're not a resolver full time of impediment. Oh yeah, impediment. What concerns you with that portal now? Do you know how to use the portal? Yours is to probably reach out to that person back. and have a better conversation with the person. Oh, have you logged this on IT Dex? Have you, do you understand? If the person does not have a way, or they've logged it, it's not working out, then you can probably take the reference number and try and chat. If you have a relationship with anyone within IT, hi, the team member of mine did this or something. Anyhow, just find a way to resolve things here and here. Then if it's things that you probably need to involve a customer outside, sometimes customers, your stakeholders are actually within. Your customers sometimes can be within your organization. So maybe a chapter lead of a particular program that that person is working on can actually be the scrum and the customer within the team. You can reach out to the person that, oh, so person has so issue. Da, 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 da. You can set up a call for them. Just try and remove that impediment, yeah, as much as you can. Now, need I say this quickly that daily scrum is time box for 15 minutes, same place every time, yeah, same place, same time. The reason for this same place, same time is, the reason is just to avoid complexity, and it helps the team plan around it. So if the team knows that every 10:15 in the morning, 10:15 to 10:30, we're going to be doing daily stand-up, they won't fix meetings around that time. They won't fix meetings with their stakeholders or their customers around that, because they know that that particular time is for the team. Yeah, it's very key to make it same place, same time. And the reason they call this daily stand-up, I think it's always good to mention it. Now, prior COVID, when we always go into work, when you get to your decks, yeah, this 15 minutes meeting, there's going to be probably a board where they're writing what they're going to do. Now we use all the Jira and everything to separate this. Before, it might just be on the board, yeah, we just write on the board that, okay, this, there and there on your decks, everybody will be standing. The reason is because you're uncomfortable for that 15 minutes, so you won't make the meeting long. If all of you are seated, that 15 minutes can become 1 hour meeting, or can become 45 minutes meeting for you guys. So they literally took it from the word stand up, daily stand up. They are standing up to actually do this call. That's why they call it stand up meeting. Now, you also have to be very careful, because now there's a lot of people working virtually. So you can imagine my Indian guys they've started work at 3:34 in the morning, while we were just joining in at 8-9 in the morning. Now, do you want to hold a stand-up meeting at 8-9, which will be their own lunch time if you calculate it? Yeah. So you just have to find the balance. You find a time that is convenient for everybody within the team. So have a chat with them. You can do voting. See how you did your name, flex, and alpha yesterday. You can have that to decide on when you want to have those ceremonies. So, but the thing is, it's actually not a sweet thing to now say, okay, let's do it 9:15 today, Monday. On Tuesday, we'll do it 10:22. On Wednesday, we'll do it 8 a.m. On Thursday, no, now. Who will remember all those timings in their head and be saying, just have a fixed time, same place, same time. Yeah. Even if it's virtual call, all well and good. Okay. So then the team are the Scrum team. Yeah. The attendees are the Scrum team I mentioned earlier. So let's quickly go. The importance of daily stand-up. It helps to inspect the team's progress, improves transparency, improves collaboration. They share progress, report impediments, and make commitments. Those are the things that happen in the daily stand-up. Then, like I said earlier, there's peer accountability for daily stand-up. There's peer accountability. Then it helps to self-organize. So every day in the morning, I come out as a team member, and I'm saying, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm already noting it. I'm already preparing my mind that this is my focus for the day. So it's actually very, very good to say this is how we are organizing ourselves. So that's why it's very good. So for sprint review, we'll be as fast now, because I think to an extent there's that balance now for us to understand this. There, yeah, I forgot to mention that for daily stand-up, actually, one of the very good things is this transparency part. So it requires everybody to effectively collaborate as a team. Yeah, it's actually very, very, very important for you to hold your DSUs. Don't get bored, don't bore your team, try and carry everybody along. So for sprint review, like I said, is the meeting organized at the end of the sprint. So sprint review is like the second to the last event, where you now showcase your work. There are different names for it. Some call it demo, some call it showcase, some call it sprint review. We're saying the same thing. We're just showing the stakeholders, which could be the directors, which could be the chapter leads, chapter heads, different things, depending on the name they call it in organization. So you just review the work you have done, yeah? So they give you constructive feedback, constructive comments. It's not like no matter what you do, honestly, nobody, you won't get to an organization and they say, what the damn, what did this, or what did you do? Because you guys did this thing as a team. So it's not a one-man thing, yeah? As a team. So they'll tell you, okay, guys, I think you guys need to go back. You need to change this. You need to work on this. Okay, what do you think this one should be? I think you should add to this. I think you should, you understand, different, oh no, this version is not something, you need to increase. They'll just give you constructive feedback, from the stakeholders, because this is a team effort. It's not a one-man thing, yeah? So then the review provides a place where the Scrum team presents the work that they have completed for the project, yeah? So importance of sprint review. So it provides routine status updates and helps to ensure that the right products that fit the user needs are created. You understand what I mean? Like, I'm going back to my example of a pink car and a red car. Yeah. So we started with red, but because of the conversation that we've had with that customer, so it has helped produce the products that fit the user's need. We changed it to pink because it became something that is useful for her. Yeah. So you have to find a way to showcase your work. You can't just keep working without people knowing. It helps to inspect the outcome of the sprint. Yeah. So even you within the sprint, you can go to the showcase and they're like, oh wow, fantastic job, team. A lot of claps, a lot of hailing. It helps with the morale. Yeah. So that's what sprint review is about. Now, retrospective now is the last event now. So, we've done the refinement, we've done the planning, we've done the stand up, we've done the review. Now, this is the retrospective. Retrospective is like now the last event of the. So, after all these things, so you remember that we picked the product backlog items and then we started refining it. We did a rough estimation, did this one, did that one. We now went to sprint planning. We estimated properly. We prioritized. We did everything. We got our sprint goal. We checked our capacity. We checked our technical skills to be able to carry out the work done. Yada, yada, yada. That's all happening in the planning. And then we started the sprint. And then we go for our daily stand-up every 15 minutes, every day, same time, same place. It will be an organized meeting that you'd have organized in your people's calendar. Like, for example, all these meetings I'm telling you about, all these events, all these ceremonies, they are on my team's calendar all the way to December. Yeah. Because you just block it permanently. Everybody knows, same place, same time. It makes it easy. People can understand what to do. Yeah. So that's that. We've done the planning. Then when we finished all the work within the sprint, we've been doing daily stand-up. Somebody says, I'll do this today, I'll do this tomorrow. Everybody is speaking, everybody's understanding, everybody are removing impediments. Then at the end, something was created. That MBI, that's minimum business increment, that was created is now what we now want to showcase. It must be something of value, don't forget. That valuable thing we finished with is now what we want to show the stakeholders at the review, yeah, which is now the fourth event. So they've reviewed it, they're giving us our constructive feedback. They probably even clapped for us that, wow, fantastic job. Sometimes they even say, wow, fantastic job. Oh, however, but just change this little thing, You note it down as a team and all that, yeah. But in between, things might have gone on within the sprint that wasn't pleasant, yeah. So you come to retrospective and then you start retrospecting. You start thinking of, okay, what went well within the sprint? What didn't go well? So retrospective is a meeting held at the end of each sprint. It's the last final ceremony, yeah. Most times, retrospective and sprint review are done on the same day, yeah, except for occasions that people say, oh, they are too tired or something, but usually you do it the same day. So you do your sprint review in the morning, you can give an hour tea break or lunch break or something, then you guys will go in and do your retrospective, yeah? So retrospective is a meeting held at the end of each sprint where the team reflects on the past sprint. We're not saying you should go and reflect on the last 20 years, except you're having a quarterly retrospective at the end of the day though, but for sprint retrospective, you're just reflecting on the last sprint and identify ways of improving the processes and practice. Yeah. So that's what you're just doing. Then the ceremony helps you find and figure out ways to improve the team. So you're sitting down as a team, you're all discussing how do we improve ourselves? How do we get better at this? How do we do this? That's where you talk about it. Now, for me, retrospective is a chill it's a chilled event. So a lot of things have gone on. Yeah, please come back and relax. Come on, that's what retrospective is about. Chill, guys, relax. So you start retrospective with fun things and all that. Remember, I said for every meeting you have to plan it. So when you plan that meeting, let's say we already said it's 1.5 hours for retrospective. You can use the first 30 minutes for, okay, icebreaker, your games, anything you want to do, and then you now face the main thing. In your space of chilling, yeah, don't forget, we've done a lot of hard work. So let's come and relax. No stakeholder comes to your retrospective. It's usually just your team, which is PO, SM, and the developers, yeah. All of you are together. You first gist and play small, do your games and all that, Then when you finish, then face the main agenda of the day. Some people lose focus. They'll now use almost 1 hour to do game. They'll now be rushing to do retrospective proper 30 minutes. Always make sure you plan the timing very well. Retrospective itself is key. That's where team members can tell you, oh, so thing happened. Okay, can we work on this? Can we be better at this? Can we do this? That's where it happens. Yeah. We'll finish very soon. Then usually it starts with the icebreaker, a game, and then it's done for 1.5 to 2 hours. Yeah. So that's retrospective. Now I'm going to show us a lot of things on retrospective. Now I'll be moving as fast. So for retrospective, the importance is the team inspects their work. Remember, I told you that after daily stand-up, one of the things that used to really inspect yourself is even sprint review and also retrospective. Yeah, you inspect yourself as a team. What did we do right? What didn't we do right? All those kind of things. Then it helps you develop the plan for the next sprint. Oh, this sprint, you know what, guys? We should do this. We should do that. We should do this. Is retrospective. You capture all those. I'll show you a sample of how it looks like your retrospective board, because usually for retrospective, use a whiteboard or a board from any of the project management tool is also fine, whatever you agree to use as a team. So it's an opportunity to evaluate the work, what is working effectively within the team. Like for example, I told you they might have clapped for you guys. So that clap, wow, it was because we did this and all that. You know what? Let's try and make this better. Let's keep motivating ourselves. All those things. That's where you do all those yada yada talk. Yeah. So it increases quality and effectiveness of work. Then it allows the team members to freely share their opinion. Now, this is another thing. There are different ways of doing retrospective. Sometimes you can do it codedly, like maybe you guys want to tell yourself real truth and all that, and people are not convenient to do that because probably there's a developer that is in the team that is 15 years into development, and me, I'm just 1 year into development or something. I might be a bit shy to hear my real mind and all that. But for me, there's nothing you can tell me for us to do retrospective hidden. No, we're supposed to be relaxed within the team. We're supposed to be able to collaborate with each other freely. So find a way to get your team to that safe space. If you meet a team that has that space that, oh, there's hierarchy in a way, break those hierarchy. Let everybody feel fine. It doesn't mean you not pat the big guys on the head because really you cannot buy those experience. But there's a way you just find a way to level up everybody and there's respect within the team. If you tell them all the Scrum values, respect, focus, and all that, yeah, if it sinks in well, everybody will respect each other and not bite more than they can chew. Yeah, so it's good. Now, some of the ritual exercises there. I told you that at the start of the ritual, maybe the first 30 minutes, you want to do different games. Like this one now is an icebreaker. So I start, for example, I'll be giving you guys simple scenarios. I need to move fast. So I'll be giving you guys simple scenarios. So we start the retrospective, we say hi to everyone, all of us laugh, we break it down, and then we'll be like, okay, you know what, let's quickly do an icebreaker. So I can say, oh, if you had a superpower or something, or you're a superhero, okay, this is a question for you guys, but I'm not going to go around now because really there's no time. So for you, in terms of Blue Sky now, if you had a superpower or if you're a superhero in relation to the time that you have spent in Blue Sky, what will it be and why? Yeah, think about it. Think about it. I'd have loved someone to talk, but really we don't have time. Yeah, so we'll go. So another icebreaker, you can say, oh, if you had $1 million, what will you do with it? How will you spend it? People will go around. You'll be surprised what your team members will say. They can say very nasty things. Like, I'm going to resign today. Oh, I'm going to, different things. This is $1 million. $1 million can actually change someone's life. And $1 million is telling me that that's, like maybe, 10 years or 15 years of your salary or something. So it's enough for someone to want to break up. Then you can use picker wheels to make decision. So I used the coordinators to do this. Yeah. So I used Ijoma, Samuel, Ibukun, Kemi, and Rose. So as coordinators, maybe you want to do something within the team. Maybe you guys want to agree who to anchor an aspect of the ritual, or who should do maybe the hide and seek or something, anything. You can just use the wheel to pick somebody. It spins and all that. I can show you guys in the future, but not now. Then say for example, this is also spot the difference. So let's say we wanted to do the spot the difference. So I'll just turn the wheel, it goes to Rose, and then we'll tell Rose, oh, yeah, spot the difference, spot 15 differences, anything just to keep it interesting. Then you can do tongue twisters. I can say like a punch of kind of 10 times without blabbing. So you go like a punch of like a punch of like a punch. You tell them do it with effigy. You understand? Just make your team, make the whole thing lively. There's a lot that goes on in retrospective. I told you guys major things, anyways, is what went well, what could have improved, and then your action, or what you want to continue doing, what you want to stop, what you want to start doing, different things. So like for my team, this is what we like the most. We like using the hot air balloon because it captures everything. So it gives us sunshine, bright ideas, what is pulling us back, what is making us frown. Then there's recognition. So during the course of the sprint, maybe my PO helped me do something. You put it there, you recognize the person. It's a way of motivating the team. So our recognition box is usually very full by the side because we count the little things because it helps the team stay steady, stay focused. So if I look at the recognition board today and my name is not there, I want to try and be more involved so my name can show next time, because people that will speak of you. So, but of course, anytime I'm doing the call, I always say, well, whether your name is here or not, I'm recognizing you because I know everybody gets pain. You just make a joke out of it and all. And this is the whiteboard I was saying that I used for the main retrospective. This is not for the jokes, yeah? The jokes ended at Rakapan Tropicana. So these ones are for the main retrospective. You can use these, guys. The day I tried to use this in my team, we fought for 15 minutes. We laughed. Why will you put Chelsea as glad? They wanted to break my head. Why will you put them? No, 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 no. Who told you Liverpool is sad? I'm a Liverpool fan. It was so funny. We cracked and cracked. Even the people online, they were laughing. That, oh my God. So before we now decided, what, we will not use this one this week. You know what? Let's go and use, then we use VAR as the action plan, the referee blowing whistle and all that. It was really fun. So anything to just keep your team happy. Retrospective, like I said, should be chill. Yeah. So this is a very good example of a whiteboard. I populated something, for my team, for example. So we say ABC Sprint 0 retrospective, for example. So I put names of people here: Bimbola, Moji, Bolu, Annie, Tunji, like that, Olawumi. So any ticket that you see that is this color, just know it's Olawumi that puts it. Yeah. So I put sunshine. What are the things that bright ideas? And I said, let's have a session on agile ways of working, because I've realized probably as a scrum master and my team, we need to refresh our whatever and all that, different things. I came to shout out to Moji for teaching me how to use this. Somebody, okay, this was not me, this was probably Abimbola that came to shout out to Moji that did like that. Just different things. One of the things, this is me putting here, one of the things that have been pulling us back as a team is waiting syndrome. Like instead of somebody to quickly shout out and say, this issue, I have this issue. The person will wait, maybe you have an issue 10 a.m. today. You wait to stand up tomorrow to come and tell us you have an issue 10 a.m. today. So the remaining 6 hours of the day or something, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to chew it? Throw up your issues immediately? So these kind of things will happen to a Scrum Master probably at the start. Those are the things you figure out as a Scrum Master, how to remove waiting syndrome within your team and all that. This is me just calling it waiting syndrome. I'm not sure there's much to it, but I just named it waiting syndrome and it really helped my team grow and all that. Just thought to say. So that's that. Some of the tools. So those whiteboards that you saw, the one you saw now is actually Lucid Spark, but we have Miro, Mural. There's on the board, some of the boards have, like Zoom also has a whiteboard. For Azure, you can do your retrospective on Azure. So I just felt to put it there. You can use Mentimeter, different things to do your retro. Anything you find fun. But in Blue Sky, we'll teach you also how to use Miro, and it's enough to help you with every other whiteboard. Yeah. So we'll just show you how to use them. They all work the same way. All you need to do is familiarize yourself with them. Yeah. Thank you. Then refinement. So refinement is the ceremony that we said is not a ceremony, yeah, but it is very important ceremony. Just take my word as it is. So refinement, it looks for in refinement, the team looks at the product backlog and decide whether they want to break it further down. That's the reason for doing all those estimation then. I told you do rough estimation during refinement. So if that story is too big, you can quickly break it down, you can reprioritize, you can rescope it, different things, yeah? So that's why we do refinement. I won't be long here because everybody should already have an inkling idea of what refinement is about. This process continues until the team finds a good collection of user stories in the product backlog that they will include in the sprint backlog, yeah? So lastly, the PO prioritizes the story. So don't worry, as we go, we understand. Even today, you see the PO doing something relating to that and say, okay, you know what, this is the vision of the PO. Does not just come with this and say, oh, okay, I want to prioritize. The PO must have gotten, the vision from, the management themselves, staff, I say staff, the stakeholders, or customer. This is what we want, this is what we want. Then the PO will come and, PO will have a clear vision of it and come and reiterate to the team. Yeah. Then the team estimates and all. Those are the things we do. We do severity within the team too. Then we do our acceptance criteria, definition of ready, definition of done. Don't worry, guys. Trust me, you will learn all these things on the go. Yeah. So thank you. Importance of refinement is to keep the backlog up to date and the PBI is prepared for the next sprint. Ensure PBI for the next sprint are prepared and prioritized. That's why we do all these refinements. It eliminates backlog chaos. If you see some people's backlog, anyways, you get to understand. Some people just pour junks there inside their backlog. They won't even be able to find some stories after a while. So SMs, make sure you are having that conversation with your PO, because PO is actually the owner of the backlog, yeah? But you, the Scrum Master, you are making sure the PO manages the backlog properly. So that's one of the major things you're going to do, yeah? So then you keep the team up to date on the status of the PBI. That's what we do in refinement. So refinement, we look at all those stories. Okay, which one can we do? Which one is now redundant? Anything that is redundant, take it off your board. If you can delete it, delete it. Anything, just remove it. If you want to reject it, reject it. Make sure your backlog is always clean. And when I'm saying backlog now, I'm referring to the product backlog, yeah? Then all your stories, that show they must meet invest criteria. I will not dwell on this because today is not for invest criteria. So this is another assignment for you guys. Aside getting your Scrum, using your Scrum guide, go and check what invest criteria is. Then you have a good understanding of invest criteria. We're going to talk about this in the near future. Then this is now a Scrum ceremony at a glance. I'll explain this in 30 seconds. Remember I told you about product backlog. So all your stories are here, your features, everything, they are here, right? So that product backlog is where you now come and do that refinement. So this is where refinement is lying. So you now pick from these things like this. You now pick the ones you want to use in sprint meeting. So the team selects the top ones because you must have ranked it during refinement. So the important ones during refinement, you take them up. The PO would have told you. So if you see this now, use this color to look at it. These three things is what the PO has said is the most priority. These other ones can still sit in the backlog. Yeah. So we'll now carry these three and take into sprint planning. So is this one that we'll plan? When we finish planning, we'll now take it into the sprint backlog. So sprint backlog is that we've started sprint. You now start doing your tasks. Everybody will break out their tasks and be working on it. Da, 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 da. This happens within this space of 1 to 2 weeks. Then whilst this is happening, while all this is happening, we'll now be doing every day daily stand-up. This 24 hours you're seeing is just saying daily. 15 minutes every day, we're doing stand-up. 15 minutes every day, we're doing stand-up, yeah? And then at the end of the 2 weeks, then we have a finished work. But whilst we are having that finished work, we'll now take the finished work and go and give to these guys. Oh yeah, review it and tell us what we are doing, yeah? Which is the sprint review. They'll give us constructive feedback. We'll come back and retrospect as a team, right? We'll retrospect as this is Scrum ceremonies at a glance. So when you go back to the video, you can just come back to this page and look through it, right? So you see that it's just telling us this is the product owner prioritizing. This is the team working on the sprint planning, picking the things they're going to go into sprint like that and all. This is the Scrum Master ensuring all these things are happening, yeah? So this is now, our daily stand-up. This is the team. These are the stakeholders. This is the team, like, that will deliver stuff. And then this is also the team, yeah? So this is Scrum at a glance. Okay, now, there's a question that comes very often that what's the best Scrum ceremony? Now we've exceeded time, so I'll just use 1 minute to ask somebody. Out of all these ceremonies I've asked, Mohammed should. Oh no, Mohammed, you cannot speak. Mohammed, you cannot speak. You cannot speak. Okay, ask your question. I'm not sure I want you to answer the question, yeah? Because you're a pro, so don't speak. Any other intern that wants to raise their hands, please. What's the best Scrum ceremony? Feel free to say anything. Like I said, it's okay to feel fast. Yeah? What's the best Scrum ceremony? And you tell us in quick 30 seconds quickly. Anybody, please? Samuel, shoot.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, quickly.
Yeah, I'm driving home, so I might not be too fluent.
Your 30 seconds is going, 15 seconds is going. What's the best Scrum ceremony?
So, I think they spot the difference. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello? Yeah, the spot the difference is okay for me. It's fun, you know.
No.
Thinking.
I'm saying what is the best ceremony amongst the 5 that I mentioned? Sprint planning, sprint review, retrospective, refinement, and the daily stand-up. Which one of them is the best Scrum ceremony?
I think it's the refinement.
Why?
In
Why
the
is it
previous
refinement?
classes, you've talked about refinement. Going over what we have planned or what we have worked on to see if there's any impediments. So.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much. So I'm taking refinement for you. Great. The next person is Rose. Rose, shoot. I'm going to take only 2 more people, yeah? Others, leave your hands up. You answer something else. Rose, shoot.
Good evening, everyone. For me, it's the retro.
Okay. Why 30 seconds?
Because we've at least been able to achieve one of the MVPs, which we have already demoed to the stakeholders, and we are at that point at least having some chilling time and just checking what we've done well and what we can improve more. Yeah.
Okay. So for MVP, minimum viable product, I'm only saying it for those that are not sure what MVP is. Thank you so much, Rose. Bumi, shoot. 15 seconds. What's the best ceremony?
Good evening, everyone. On my own part, I will go for sprint planning.
Why?
Because if we're able to plan very well, I think all other ceremonies will go smoothly and won't be stressful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bumi. Adiola, shoot. I decided to call. We can make it. Adiola, shoot. 10 seconds.
Hi, sorry. So I'm going to pick the retro because having that agile mindset, you've tried out, failing, learning, keeping, and what is adapting as well. So I think it's the retro.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adiola. Made sense. Joy, shoot. 10 seconds. Nobody should add. I'm stopping on. Jeremy, will you put your hands down? I wanted to say I'm stopping on Jeremy, but you put the hands down. Oh my God. No, we can't.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, Joy, rather. Go ahead.
Good evening. Yeah. Me, I can say this daily standout is the best. Stand up. I mean, daily stand up. That we're able to be planning every day by day. You will meet so that if there should be any impediment, anything, we have to do it. We have to discuss it there. So I picked that daily stand up.
Nice. As the best. Nice. Thank you. Alex, shoot.
Yeah, I was also going to say the daily stand up. For similar reason as her. So
okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Shegun, shoot. Shegun. Kemi, shoot. Okay, Shegun is ready. Shegun, shoot. Shegun, shoot.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
10 seconds.
As for me, I'll go for the retro. The ability for you starting a project and completing it, I believe that's the best thing. Okay. It's not that you start it and you die on the road. So for you to complete it to that final state,
okay, that's
I believe that's the best thing.
Kemi, shoot.
Good evening, everyone. I think all the ceremonies are important, so none should oversee or supersede the other in terms of asking which one is best. They're all good. They're all Yeah, everything. That's my son.
Kemi Yauji. That's nice. Okay, so everybody actually got it right. Yeah. But for the sake of interviews and all that, you lean on Kemi's option. Yeah. So you start with saying that all ceremonies are good. Yeah. Go back and chew this on your own, right? So you're starting with saying all ceremonies are fantastic. They work hand in hand. It helps the team do this, yada yada yada. You explain everything you want to explain, all this within a minute, anyways. Then you say, however, actually, me, I go extreme sometimes. So I say, however, if you put a gun to my head, that I must pick a ceremony, then I'll pick so. Yeah. But on average, most times, I think I always want to pick a planning, but for reasons beyond me, sometimes I also look at retrospective. I find it very difficult to leave out retrospective. Yeah. Because in retrospective, actually, you can do a bit of organizing yourself, but sprint planning is actually easy because it's easy to pick because you have enough. The truth is, as long as you have a backing to why you picked something. So I cannot just say, oh, sprint review is the reason. And I have to say the reason. Oh, I'm picking sprint review because I feel that if I get a feedback from someone as regards what I'm doing, I'm sure that that product is going to be the right one when I finish developing it for the person. Do you get? I don't know if you get what I mean. So I've backed up that one. So if I pick sprint planning, I'll be like, if you plan very well, your chances of succeeding is very good. So I'll pick sprint planning because I'll add more to it. I'll pick it. So everything is actually, you have to back it up. Feel free to pick anyone, back it up, but always start with the fact that, but if I want to use Tolu style, no, I'll not give you guys Tolu style or Muji style to answer this question. Go back and do this because this question will come up already because of your internship and we expect a very solid feedback on it. So thanks guys, really I appreciate everyone that spoke. I appreciate everyone that put their hands up and put their hands down. Don't worry, I know everybody had something in mind, but thanks Kemi for really giving it to us. You used to J, maybe somebody whispered to you, I'm suspecting your husband or Google, but if I want to think very well, it might be Google that did your Kemi, don't worry, I'm just kidding, don't worry, you don't need to I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's that for the best Scrum ceremony. Yeah. Then lastly, I want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to the boring self of mine. I hope you can catch as much as you can. Like I said, I'll get the video ready for you guys so you can listen through it. I must have rambled a lot already but I hope you get the gist. Just try and understand the gist from this whole thing. Why these ceremonies are very important, why you should do them, why you should make sure your team is motivated while you're doing it. Be purposeful, do it with an intention. Don't do it as a normal ritual. The moment the ceremonies become a ritual, then you're in trouble. Make it very important for the team. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay. Now let me see the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Okay, so
thank you.
The time is 9:30. We'll only take 5 minutes. Any questions, please, quickly? Any questions so we can stop this video and start? Rose, shoot quickly.
Okay, 2 questions. My first one is, what if it's regarding the sprint? What if the team is not actually able to deliver a valuable product within that 2 weeks? Do they extend it? They carry it over? What happens?
Okay.
That's one. Then secondly, what if for some reason there's an emergency backlog item that needs to be added to that sprint? Like, how do these processes work? Is it allowed? Do we change something for something? Or, I just want to understand a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, if I want to answer you this question very well, actually, it's take me like good 5 minutes to answer, but I'll just be as fast as I can. I'll start from your rare question. Yes, you can always add a new priority, but whatever you're adding must be of priority to the team, right? The team will agree to take it in. The PO, but you as a Scrum Master, you're shielding your team. Don't let them just bring things anyhow. The PO must be the one coming to say, oh, this is now of priority, and asking the team that, are we able to take this in? Then sometimes it's good to swap things for things. So if you guys probably did not do the buffer, now usually if your capacity is 100%, the best bet for a team is actually to take 80% or 90% of work into the sprint and leave that 10% buffer in case of what you just asked now. Yeah. So, but in case you guys just took the 100% and you don't have any buffer to take whatever they are bringing in for you, then the people that told you that this is not a priority, you told them that before, you told us all these are a priority. We are trading one, which was the least priority from this. You remember there was a ranking on that picture I showed you guys that 1, 2, 3, the PO ranked the top 3, right? So we can remove the third one and replace with a new priority if it is important, to the organization. We are not working without getting this information. So when people tell you that, oh, is there a priority, you guys need to change priority, you don't just say no, and you don't just say yes. You consider it as a team. Are we able to take up this work? Are we able to do this? Are we able to, if you guys agree as a team, okay, we're able to take it up, that's fine. You take it up, you put it in sprint and continue. Yeah. But if you're not able to take it up just like that, you say, okay, how about we do a trading? Let's put this into relegation first. Oh, yeah, this number 3, go and sit down. Then let's bring in the new one and get it done. Yeah, that's how it's done. But make sure you work with your team. Like I said, never make any decision on your own. And most times when these priorities come, usually coming either straight to the developer or the PO, because some people just jump PO and just chat to the developer, oh yeah, add this one. You know how customers behave. They really behave like, bulldozers sometimes. But you, the Scrum Master, you are there to make sure you are shielding the team. You, the PO, you are making sure that it's something actually important that we are scoping our sprint for. Yeah, that's by the way. And then to your first question, yes, sometimes for impediment sake or for not even estimating properly, because when you're estimating, a lot of things are considered. You're considering your risks, your dependency, a lot of things when you're doing your estimation. You're involving a bit of timing and all that. So when you do all this and you don't estimate very well, because sometimes, according to you say estimation is guesstimation, yeah? Because you are guessing, especially if it's your first time. But subsequently, you might have idea. So if I've been developing something since 1920, and you tell me how long will it take you to develop this landing page, I'll tell you 30, I'm sure it's 30 seconds and I'll do it in 30 seconds, yeah? But if it's something I'm doing for the first time, the same thing that person will do for 30 seconds, I can use 1 full hour to do it. So it depends on, all those things before you decide on. But however, if you do all this, you do all the things right and all that, but you are still not able to, provide an increment at the end of that sprint. So usually you will carry it over to the next sprint. So you end sprint and then carry over all the next things into the next sprint. But while you carry it over to the next sprint, they are sitting down for you to reevaluate as a team that, is this still of priority? Is this now redundant? The PO is telling you guys, yes, it's good enough for us to take him to the next sprint. Yes, it is still of value. And usually that kind of work within the first week of sprint, you should be completing it because we're probably at the edge of completing it. And that's why it's always good to break your stories as much as possible so that even that part of work that you have done will have scaled through. I don't know if you get the gist, yeah? So if you break your stories, let's say I'm supposed to do a biro, for example, and I broke the story into biro cover, the biro body, and the ink. So if I have created the ink and the biro cover, I might have moved that to done. Then it just remain the body that will carry over into next sprint. I don't know if you get what I mean. So make sure you break your stories to, something that will ensure that you are able to at least show your progress during the course of the sprint. In that sprint, you can't just enter a sprint and not do anything. You are being paid for it now, yeah? So do as much as you can. Then the few things you're not able to do, you carry it over into the next sprint. But yes, it happens a lot. You will see it a lot. You will hardly see a team that will keep finishing up all the, this is now reality now. You will not see a team that will finish 100%. Are they using jazz? Even if they're using jazz, it will not work. There shall be a reason that there are some things that will be carried over. Thank you. Ijoma, I hope I answered your question, please.
Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. Ijoma, shoot.
Hello, good evening, Lawumi. In fact, as you are speaking, I say I want to be like you when I grow up.
Hey.
I don't know. I have a lot of questions, but the first question is that before the sprint starts or before the project starts, does the PO give, like you said in Agile, in waterfall, they have a clear goal of what they want to do and they carry it from beginning till the end. But in waterfall, they deliver value every point in time. So I want to ask, does it mean that the PO, like they don't, like the goal they have is not like to the end? They contribute, like they bring out new goals at every point in time.
Okay.
Then secondly, could it be that agile approach is like, you know, let's say that they use this maybe in iPhone, while we have iPhone 8, iPhone 9, iPhone 10, you know, just like that. They keep on like, you know, like iPhone 8 is the first value, and then iPhone 9, just like that.
Okay, so don't mix it up. That's different. This is now version increment. So you have done something of value, you have delivered it, that work is good. That's different. That one is different. That can even be waterfall style. That can be agile. You have provided it, it's fine, you have launched it, people have bought iPhone 8, iPhone 9, like that. That one is different. But after we've settled for iPhone 8, okay, how can we improve on iPhone 8 for a next version? This is you just, you know, trying to do a next version. That one is different. That is not the agile, right? Don't get me wrong. If you see some things on agile, you see version 1.500 and that one is more of the agile one, just adding value, but it doesn't mean the first one you did is not fully usable and all that. So that one kind of different. It's not really what I'm trying to push for you to understand in agile. Agile is iterative and incremental. You have not finished that thing. So that iPhone, for example, that you're saying, somebody is doing the battery, a team might be doing the battery, a team might be doing the glass, a team might be, all of you now do everything, bring it together and combine it as one, and now produce iPhone 8 and give us then customers start using it and all that. That process of everybody doing different things and bringing it together, doing it in bits and all that. You know, the bit I'm saying that even that battery doesn't mean you complete the battery in one sprint. That battery, it might be only the inside the battery will complete one sprint, the body of the battery in another, like that. We are focused on battery, right? Battery team, then screen team. They can do maybe the first layer of the screen before the hard one. You know, they do sprint on sprint. But when they now finish all these things, they'll come together and bring it and, you know, now copulate it together and say, okay, oh, this is now iPhone 8. That one is different. Now that's but say you want to do another version, everybody brings out new version every time. And it's just like all these cars do different versions every time. That's not the breaking of the agile. Then to your next question, has it not flown out of my head? Okay. The PO, I've remembered. So for the PO, the thing is, the PO already has a true vision of what we are trying to do. The PO will always go back to the customers to get that instruction of what is priority to them. But at the same time, to an extent, the PO already has a clear vision of what's going on. But from time to time, you'll still be speaking to the customers for clarity and all that. Because sometimes the truth is, in the real world, sometimes some customers don't even know what they don't entirely know what they want. Sure, you know. But that communication, that research, so the PO has a lot of work to do to bring out the best product ever. So the customer might just tell you their own kind of vision and imagination of the thing, but you juggle them with a lot of questions. That's why we say B is you must be able to ask the right questions. I don't know if you remember Bolu's stuff last week Tuesday. So you must be able to ask the right question, be able to have a conversation to elicit the right requirements for those things. You know, same thing the PO will be doing at that level. So no, the PO might not have the total clear, but they will have it to an extent, but still be going back to the customer for that conversation to always come always get what priority is, sprint on sprint and all that. So the PO, for example, in an organization, might be going to the group PO to get it, or directly to the stakeholders, different things. When you start doing this thing, you start understanding as it's going. I might not have answered the way I want to, but let's just move on because of time. Omilani Yinka. Thank you, Ijoma. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. Sorry, not Omilani. I'm supposed to be calling Bolanli. Bolanli, please go ahead. Oh my God, time has really gone. Moji, how do we do this?
Hello. My question is this. Can we refer bug as impediment? Can we also refer bugs as impediment or impediment as bugs? That's my question. Thank you.
I've not even spoken about bugs. We will know people that know this thing very well. Don't kill us now. We've not even spoken about bugs today.
No.
We've not even spoken about bugs today. So it depends, So somebody has developed something, right? So for you to finish that cycle of you saying you have finished that sprint and you have delivered something of value, that thing should be tested. That's one of the things about Agile. I'm sure I've not actually mentioned continuous testing, continuous, development. That's what Agile is about. You keep going round and round and round and round to make sure you're testing. So for every little step you take, you test it. Every little step you take, you test it. Every little step you take, you test it. That's Agile for you and all that. So for you to do that, in that process of testing, if a bug comes up, it can actually be a blocker for the team to progress to say they have finished this thing. But there's sometimes that some bugs might just be there's something we call it what's this, like something like plastic bugs. That's just something very irrelevant that it will not stop you. It might just, it's two ways. You can just put it aside and use it for a technical depth. Also, I don't want to go into things that you now ask further questions. Or okay, cosmetic, yeah, that's the word, it just came to my head. So there are some things that are just cosmetic. It might just be that probably you didn't put full stop somewhere. You're supposed to put full stop, you didn't put full stop on that website. It doesn't mean that you cannot deliver that value. It will not take 30 seconds for when the tester spots it, can just tell the developer can just do it. As the tester is even saying it, the developer will put the full stop and move the way. Yeah. So it might not be an outright blocker at that time, but a full block that is something very important can actually be a blocker and a showstopper for the team to move on from that particular to create that particular increment. Yeah, so it can actually be a stopper for them. So Yinka, shoot. Yinka, we have only Olusegun. Please don't raise up your hands again.
You mean Oluyinka or another Yinka?
Oluyinka, oh, Yinka, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I was just going to, I was being curious that between Scrum Master and ADM, Agile, what's it called, Project Manager, I think there's a thin line that makes them look extremely the same. So what's that one thing that differentiates properly a project manager from a Scrum Master?
So did you say project management or Agile?
Sorry, Agile. Yes.
Okay, that word, you see that word in the middle, that delivery. That person is accountable for delivery of that project. That's what that ADM is focused on. That person is accountable to deliver that project. But you see, Scrum Master, you are not. It's not like you're accountable, but you are responsible for your team to deliver what they have cut out to do as is. It doesn't mean they will hold you because you are part of that team. Nobody's really going to hold you and say, oh, because we did not deliver, I want to. Yours is just to make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to do. You are making sure everything that is right is there. Like you're making sure if there's any impediment to remove that blocker, you're making sure you're facilitating all the calls, you're making sure you're shielding your teams from all those rescoping and rescoping. You can imagine them bringing 10 things for different developers. You know, some people, do you know there are some chapter leads and code, I'll be chatting your developer and giving them work and the developer, because that person is senior man to me, just be doing it without even telling the team. Those things, you actually put yourself in a position where your developer can even share with the team that I'm getting more work from this end, and you guys will find a way to stop all those things. So anything, you Scrum Master, you're just making sure what we said and we have moved to the sprint backlog, which is our sprint goal now, gets to the end line. So you're just guiding, making sure it's more like paving the way for everybody. Okay, yeah, let's keep going. You're asking, doing all those meetings, making sure everybody's accountable. Okay, yeah, you said you were going to do this. Oh, you've done it. Oh, thumbs up, like that. Okay, until you get it done. Yeah.
So in other words, a Scrum Master is answerable to an ADM.
But we've said this thing 50 times in this whatever now. Yes, but
I just need to. If I understand it, I will not ask.
I'm just trying to rush so that we don't stay too long. But yes, kind of, yeah. It depends on your reporting line. The Scrum Master might not even really have a conversation with them, yeah. It might be the PO talking to the ADM or anything. So it depends, but one way or the other, you shall always jam. See, all those things, I won't lie to you. It depends on your organization, how the reporting line is, what conversation is happening. There's some for the delivery manager might actually just be speaking to the PO to be sure that the PO is giving the team the right amount of work to do. And when they're seeing the progress, there's really nothing anybody will jack you for, because as a Scrum Master, sometimes you don't even know the technicality of what is going on. You don't know the technical details of what is going on. So there's no use. Yeah. So they won't hold. It's just like you coming to meet me to tell you technical details of what is happening in engineering. They won't meet me for it. There's no use. The delivery manager will not come and hold me for such. You understand? But I will do my job as a Scrum Master to make sure my team is delivering what they are supposed to deliver. Yeah. Did I answer your question? I don't know if that's clear, or do you need more explanation?
I'm okay.
All right, thank you. The last person, Shegun, shoot.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, when you were explaining some things about the Scrum Master, that it will get to a stage you have to hand over everything to the developer to carry out the stuff. My question is, does that mean that the Scrum Masters will just give out all the process? Does that mean it's just can we say it's a skeletal process of the stuff, while the developer carry out the execution of the main thing? And secondly, does that mean the Scrum Master will not be involved in any code or any programming? And that developer, can we call them a programmer as well? Thank you.
People will not kill me with questions. Now, you see this thing. I'm sure I did not say that the Scrum Master will do and now pass it on to the developer. I'm because I was trying to figure out that part. I'm sure I did not mention that. So everything you do within the team, I know the thing I emphasize is from the start, you're working as a team. So this is kind of how it goes. The PO gets the vision. The PO iterates to the team what the vision is about. But more in a software setting, the PO is having a very solid conversation with the BA on how this and this is going to be carried out, because the BA will be the one probably writing your stories. I don't like stretching too much on that because all these things also depends on your organization. But I'll use Blue Sky for example. Yeah. So the PO is having that conversation with the BA that this is what we're supposed to do in the coming sprint. They won't even be doing that during the course of the sprint. They'll be doing that before the start of the sprint. So that process is called elicitation of requirements from the PO by the BA, right? So they are just having that conversation. The BA is noting it down. The BA will go back, write all the user stories, acceptance criteria, do a wireframe. You will see the reason for wireframe as we go, yeah? They'll do a wireframe, a process map, anything they need to do to explain what they've written down very well, yeah? And then they will now put it on the product backlog. So the people that populate that product backlog is the BAs, right? They populate it from the instruction they've gotten from the PO. So that's kind of almost where the BA, I won't say where their work stops, right? Because by the time the developers and the whole team comes to have the conversation during refinement, the BA will be changing some things, refining some things here and all that. So, but ideally, the BA himself or herself, they don't work within the sprint. Yeah. Now, after that, everybody now comes together as a team to do a refinement. So for me, a Scrum Master in a refinement, you might not even hear my voice. You won't even hear my voice. But what am I discussing with you people? Me, I'm just making sure that that refinement is happening and that the right conversation is happening there. And that is not like we are goofing around. So as a Scrum Master, you also have to put your head in it to understand what is going on. So you can have a healthy conversation with your team, making sure they are talking in the right way within that particular ceremony. Yeah. When they do that, just make sure, you ensure that that priority is done, it is ranked properly. Say, for example, they want to wrap up the goal. You ask the PO, it's not been ranked. You say, okay, they'll rank it. Things like that. You are there. You are not there, but you are there, right? You're not talking too much. They are the ones that are discussing and getting to understand that item. Then during planning too, you're not talking much either. You're just making sure that planning is happening, but you're the one facilitating. So whilst facilitating, at some point you even give the reins to the BA, because at some point the BA will be reading out the things. There'll be conversation. You'll see that happen tonight, because this thing will not make this thing happen tonight. Our stop time is 11, and I can't believe I've used almost 2 hours. I'm actually supposed to use 1 hour, max 1 hour 15 minutes. So during sprint planning, all this will happen, and then afterwards, and a lot of things going to happen during sprint planning. You see it very soon. You are going to see this night. Guys, please don't get tired. This might be the longest night, yeah, except for QAs. I cannot stand for you guys. You're going to have many long nights. But this might be the longest line, so let's just endure. Let's not feel tired, right? This is me just giving you the words of mouth. When the next set of people come in now, about 6 of them, they will show you how some of these things happen, but they'll show you as briefly as possible, right? So that you just have an idea of how it goes on. So when that happens, then when the team agrees on those ranked priorities, what they want to take into sprint during the sprint planning, they estimate it, they prioritize it, they put it into sprint, it becomes sprint backlog, and then it becomes the sprint goal. Yeah. So when you guys have the sprint goal going on, now the first person that now picks the work is the developer. The developer will develop that thing. So the developer will raise a task, develop it, and all that. When the developer develops it, then the passes it on to the QA. The QA will go and pick it from developers done column, right? I will not go into that so much. So the software tester, which is the QA, will pick that up and now start looking through it that, oh, okay, this is what we said that the BA said you should go and do. Did you do it? Okay, the BA said you should put the logo at the top left of the something. Let's say we see the logo at the top right. That person is raising it as a bug. Just making sure that the picture of what we decide we want to do is what is happening. So the tester will test all those things, raise bugs if there are bugs. If there are no bugs, they leave it. Yeah. And then afterwards, we'll now put it in UAT and then get it done. That's how that process kind of goes. Yeah. But a lot of things can go on within it. So it is not that the PO will just, or the Scrum Master will say, take, go and do this or something. The team decides, and then everybody will now go gradually until they get the whole work done. I just thought to put that in perspective for you so that you guys will understand what you are going to be seeing in the next 5 minutes. So thank you, everyone. I hope I answered your question a bit. Shegun.
Yes, still remain the second one.
What's the second one?
Are the developer, can we also call the developer the programmer?
Okay, can we also call a developer a programmer? No, they are not doing the same thing. Programming is different, yeah, from development work. I'm not sure how best to answer. Did you want to answer that? Programming is different. You're not programming anything. You're developing something, yeah? So a programmer, they do extreme programming and all. Okay, do you want to answer, Malga?
Yeah. In those days, what they call developers are programmers. If you're talking about around 10 years ago or 20 years ago, what you have were programmers. The word developers was not used actually. So then later you call about system developers, application developers, but in early days they are basically programmers actually, but that has been metamorphosed into development anyway. So they are being called developers now. You don't normally hear that word programmers any longer. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. So that means that one and the same.
Thank you, sir.
All righty, checking. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for staying till now. Now, the next set of things, I'm going to be introducing you guys to some awesome set of guys. Moji, is your call. Moji, you need to start sharing screen now. Thank you. I'm going to stop this recording and start a fresh one, just for us to have a break. Stop recording.